Hey Flow City, this is Garrett and this is episode 18. So much is happening in the world all the time and it's hard to keep up, except when we step out into nature and just be. When we're there away from the screen, away from Wi-Fi, away from everything and everyone except for nature, we can experience truly what the universe has already created. Today, I would like to dive a little bit deeper into my why. I want to dive into authenticity VR and how it became Flow City, what it means to me, and the future of computing, the future of relationships, and where this is going. Authenticity VR was inspired by my own story of my marriage with my wife. I want to share this with you because what we've been through is unique to us. However, I believe that every single marriage and relationship, if they apply the principles, that they can move through fear to love. My story is that my wife and I were going to get a divorce. We were ready to separate, and we actually ended up saying, what else is there? What can we do? And my friend introduced me to a way to alter our consciousness together. I started doing a lot of research on it. I read some in-depth research papers and fell in love with the idea of getting out of your own mind and into the other person's and feeling empathy. And I said, I don't typically feel empathy. I don't know the last time I felt somebody else's emotions. I want to experience this. I want to experience this feeling, and I want to do it with this girl who I'm going to divorce. We're done. We just had our first child, but we're done. We can't take the struggle anymore. What ended up happening, we had a shared experience with I'm trying to say this without saying it, which is almost impossible. So hopefully Apple and Spotify will forgive me. So my wife and I were able to go through an experience on MDMA. We got to sit in front of each other and have a therapeutic session following a protocol of therapy where we got to dive into the things that we had been too afraid to dive into or didn't understand enough. What we ended up doing was we had an intimate experience. I set the stage. I put up some rock lamps, some candles, a nice speaker with beautiful music, and we sat in front of each other on a bed in a tiny house, literally a tiny house. Everything just disappeared, and we began to experience what is typically known as a flow experience. However, when I talk about flow, I'm not talking about altering your consciousness with substances. I'm talking about altering your consciousness without anything except you as the medicine. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form promoting this. I'm just telling what happened. I'm telling our story, that we actually got to get together in this place with this beautiful set and setting, and we got to dive into our fear, the things that we didn't understand about each other, our shames, the things that we held inside so tight, the things that we didn't want to share with anybody, including each other. And after this experience, this 6-hour experience, we came on the other side. It was not easy. Let me tell you, it was not easy. But on the other side, we realized that we already have the answers within us, that all the couples therapy that we had been through meant nothing in comparison to this experience that we had. Nothing even came close, because we ourselves inside know what is good for us, what we need. It was just a matter of hitting the reset button and together experiencing what it's like to release your trauma. And that's where Authenticity VR was really born. This idea that we can alter our consciousness with virtual reality, that virtual reality becomes a medicinal technology. And Authenticity VR was about my authentic story, about my journey moving from this state of distress and anxiety with my spouse and not knowing how or what to do and not wanting to make the wrong choice. And I was constantly in this awkward state of, what do I do? Of, do I stay or do I go? And it didn't end during that one experience, but I started stacking other experiences on top of it. The other experience that really was magical was when we went to the Void and we went through a Star Wars experience. We were stormtroopers. We had these laser guns, the guys with the black and white suits. We had to shoot Darth Vader. Typical journey, except you were a stormtrooper and it felt like you were holding a gun. There was haptic feedback, so you felt every time you got shot, or you were actually in a physical room. It created this sense of collaboration. We're in this virtual environment together. And I said, wow, if this is where the future is going, then we can create experiences for people to connect. For her, it wasn't as good as it was for me. For me, it was like just pure magic. For her, to this day though, as she looks back on it, she's like, yeah, that was pretty cool. It was totally worth $60. And then we got a couples massage. We went and just did things that we don't typically do. We got out of our comfort zone, but we said, we're going to spend $600 away from our kids. Actually, at that point, I think it was just one kid. And we're just going to do stuff that is exciting to us. And it reminded me of the time when we were dating. It was more exciting. It was novel. At the time, I didn't know that I was bringing in flow and release from the struggle into my life. And now I'm taking this knowledge of altered consciousness with technology, like virtual reality, my authentic background story of how my wife and I almost separated several times actually, and ended up staying together and have the most incredible relationship to date, because we not only just know each other, couples who know each other for 60 plus years and they're still bickering and fighting. It's not about knowing each other better. It's about releasing to the other person, to empathize with the other person. And the combination, I think, of these experiences of altered consciousness with each other in a therapeutic setting where we dive into our trauma together and we release whatever's on our mind, mixed with the technology, novelty, dating, fun side of things, mixed with neuroscience and wellness, created Authenticity VR. So authenticity, I would capitalize the city because I always saw the future of computing being that we're not on Zoom calls. We're not in a different room. We're together in the same room. And we're in this virtual metaverse. This understanding when in 2018, 2019 became so evident, so clear to me that I said, I can't do what I'm doing anymore. I have to quit my job and go create the future. And that's what I did. So Authenticity VR became everything to me. It was like merging of startup and family. It was really hard to keep them separate because it was merging as one. How do I help couples in the future? But I kept failing over and over. And I realized in 2019 and early 2020, and quite frankly, all of 2020, that I was struggling myself with the problem that I was trying to solve for others. And I hadn't yet solved it in my own relationship. So how in the world was I going to solve it for others? And it was difficult, but because I kept pushing through, I realized that the technology is here now. The metaverse is here. We are able to access these virtual dimensions and teleport essentially. And what does that mean for the human relationship? What does that mean for two people who are in love and are in the same physical environment? How does augmented virtual reality affect a couple's relationship moving forward? When you can teleport yourself into somebody else's living room instantly, feel present with that other person, when really the only thing missing is oxytocin, which is physical touch. So I said, okay, I'm going to bring some physical touch into this. How can I bring couples into the metaverse together, hand in hand, physically together, creating oxytocin, altered state of consciousness with virtual reality and augmented reality, and being completely based on the financial paradigm of blockchain and Ethereum. I started diving deep into artificial intelligence. I fell in love with the idea of having a digital twin, a decentralized world, peer-to-peer, without any need for banks. My flow is absolutely the convergence of these exponential technologies. I found different communities like Abundance Digital and Zero to Dangerous, the Flow Research Collective, Singularity University. I realized that I wasn't the only one who was seeing the convergence of mind manifesting medicine, plant medicine, neuroscience, the microbiome, functional medicine, how it's all connected, and how technology and AI is allowing us to solve problems that even last year or 2 years ago were impossible to think of. And I know where this is going. The path is pretty clear. The book Inevitable talks about this. Nothing is inevitable. However, if you look at patterns, we see where things are going. And the weirdest part in 2020, the technology was accelerated by people being at home and allowed people some freedom, some space. Even though we were slaves in our own home, we were also free to explore the digital world. And now it's exploding. And what does that mean for relationships? What I thought was going to happen by 2030 might happen by 2025 now or sooner. I've never thought that this year, 2021, that Facebook would change their name to Meta. I didn't think that was going to happen until, I didn't think they were going to change their name, to be honest. But I did see the metaverse coming together right around 2022. I didn't think it was going to happen in 2021, but here we are. And so with my background story of separation and then not separating and actually feeling more connected now than ever, and then studying, why does psychedelic medicine change your microbiome? Why does it help you overcome your fear of death? Why are they illegal? Why did the Nixon administration in 1971 have a war on drugs and make some of the most powerful substances on earth to help humans illegal to the point where you get put into prison? I started asking these questions in 2017, 2018, 2019. It became clear that these things were not going to be legalized anytime soon, and that I could create a bridge between psychedelic medicine of the future, which clearly to me is the future, maybe not in the United States, but in California, they decriminalized psychedelics this year, which is pretty remarkable. And the reason it's remarkable is because people don't have to have an anxiety-inducing experience, because it's a mind manifesting experience. So when you go into a psychedelic experience, you manifest what's in your mind. It's not easy. If you already have anxiety, you're actually going to experience anxiety in the experience. So by setting up your setting, going with a grateful state of mind and embracing and accepting whatever's going to happen is going to be for you. We're not talking about doing drugs. And Authenticity VR said, how can I bridge these beautiful experiences that others are creating? And how can I bring the technological medicine without taking any drugs and show people that human relationships are fundamentally going to change? We could actually feel connected. When I realized what was happening in 2021, I didn't stumble upon the name Flow City. It felt like it came to me. Actually, every time I went to pitch the name Authenticity VR to anybody, people would butcher the name. They would say authenticity. They wouldn't know how to say it. It's not a word that we see too often. We usually see authentic. That's not too hard, but even then it's a little difficult. And for the first time, I just accepted it. I said, okay, I'm not going to hold myself back and hold on to authenticity, even though I want our values to be authenticity and I want to create an authentic city in VR, in the metaverse, and in real life. It became Flow City. Imagine in the future, Flow City becoming an actual city, a physical manifestation of what we create in the metaverse. 3D printed city, a festival like Disneyland for adults, and hopefully children in the future, where we set up environments that are safe. And I see this future where we're under a dome, under neon lights, and we see this magic occurring with people connecting with this technology as the medicine, yourself as the medicine. We don't need drugs to cure depression and anxiety, mental health and trauma. We don't need those things. We need a city where couples can come together and go through these wellness experiences without taking anything, and they can experience true joy through flow and bring that back to their own communities and be a part of the Flow City community. So that's how Flow City was born. And I am just so pumped to take this on for as long as I can. And I'm so appreciative of you being here and being a part of this journey. Thank you, Flow City. Until next time, I'm sending positive vibes your way.